of Paul S. Labiner has been providing quality and cost-effective legal advice to professionals, businesses, individuals, and families throughout South Florida, New York, and New Jersey for over 3 decades. Their mission is to provide personalized service which ensures that you, your family, your business, or your assets are safe and protected. Call attorney Paul S. Labiner today, 561-998-2362, and let him begin the creation of a financial blueprint in conformity with your needs, desires, and concerns. It took much effort and hard work for you to enjoy all that you have today, so it only makes sense that you implement strategies to protect and defend it. The law office of Paul S. Labiner, PA, is a reputable law office nestled in beautiful Boca Raton, Florida, that is dedicated to providing you with personalized legal services that meet the specific needs of your family. Attorney Paul S. Labiner designs estate plans that ensure the most effective transfer of wealth, implement policies to mitigate income and estate taxes, and draft wills and trusts to maximize your family's wealth. Call attorney Paul S. Labiner today at 561-998-2362. You are listening to the Ask the Expert Show with host Steve-O. We will be right back with more experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Join us every Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. Now, get ready for more Ask the Experts.
Good afternoon. God, this week has gone by slow. It's already Thursday, and it's the holiday weekend, and I'm excited because whenever we have, which doesn't happen too often, but whenever we have a new show on, it's really exciting. This is what you write us about. You said you wanted an estate planning show, someone who understood probate, wills, and we found one of the best. We always luck out. We always get the best of the best, the creme de la creme. And I am so excited about our new show. And let me introduce you to attorney Paul S. Labiner. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Steve. Thank you so much for inviting me to the show.
This is going to be fun.
Okay,
because we just spent the last 30 minutes talking and kibitzing. And I think I'm excited because what we're going to do is we're going to educate you. A lot of people are afraid to ask questions because they don't want to look dumb or sound dumb. There really is no such thing as a look dumb or sound dumb. But Paul, for the next 30 minutes, we are going to educate you on a lot of different areas. Probate, wills, a lot of different areas. And if you want to call in, you can call in at 888-565-1470. And, you know, we're here with you every week from 5 to 6. And like I said, I am so excited about having Paul. So the first thing I want to know is, tell us about your practice.
Steve, it's an interesting question. You and I were chatting a little bit before the show about, what do I do? And I've been doing this, believe it or not, I graduated law school almost 40 years ago.
You're kidding.
No.
You look too young.
I know, thank God.
Yeah, really.
But I have, believe it or not, in June, I have my 40th, law school reunion. So,
and your son's a lawyer.
And my son is a lawyer. My son practices with me, which is really truly
Say
a
his
blessing.
name. We can put his name.
Brandon Labiner.
Yeah, he does personal injury law.
He does do personal injury law, and he's very successful at it. So
great dad.
We try to incorporate a number of different components. But my firm for the last almost 40 years is really been dedicated to assisting families and businesses to try to develop a cohesive financial blueprint. People talk about estate planning. What does that mean? Because it changes every time there's a change in the tax law.
So is that becoming a dinosaur?
It's becoming
estate planning.
Estate planning, I think, is a misnomer today.
Okay,
it truly is, because the
market's changed. So
the market's changed, tax laws change, the dynamics of the family unit change. Circumstances change. We were chatting a little bit about special circumstances. Every individual that I have come across over the course of my career has a specific nuance that has a special meaning to them individually that needs to be addressed, that needs to be, considered. Whether it's the autistic child that we were chatting about, whether it's a child that has, drug or alcohol issues, whether it's a child that's a spendthrift who does not have the ability to manage money.
How about the new wife?
or the second or third wife.
Yes, right.
I mean, for sure. You don't need me to draft a simple document. Today you can go online and for a couple of bucks you can go get a document drafted.
See, we got an honest attorney too.
It's the God's honest truth, but that doesn't do the job.
No.
Okay. If you want to spend a couple $100s to simply get a document, you go online and do it. God bless you.
Where's your office at?
My office is on Federal Highway, and just north of Yamato.
So you're in Boca.
I am in Boca Raton.
Okay.
Correct.
But just so everybody knows, because we have such a long reach, doesn't matter if you're in Broward, if you're even in Dade, or if you're up in Jupiter, you can take care of them.
Absolutely. I tend my client base. Considering that I'm also licensed in New York and New Jersey, my client base goes throughout the East Coast.
We have so many New York people who listen to the show, especially the snowbirds when they come in. But when they go back home, they still listen to the show.
Well,
so that's good to know that you also are licensed in New York.
The fact that I am licensed in New York and New Jersey, many people who have that connection, particularly with South Florida, likes to know that they have an attorney that can deal with some of the legal issues or other issues that may present themselves in the state of New Jersey or the state of New York.
Okay, so we've done a little bit about your practice. What is estate planning? Everybody knows that word, even though it's becoming archaic. But what is estate planning? Tell me the things you do.
Estate planning, as I understand it, as I present it in my practice, is a total and complete analysis of an individual's personal and financial circumstances.
So you're kind of a financial advisor, but you're an attorney.
I am. Okay, and there are financial components that come into play in terms of the overall financial blueprint, but it's more the subjective considerations that I find is the key to the process. Yes, everybody needs a will or a distribution plan, whether it's a will or a trust. Yes, everybody needs a power of attorney that in the event of the unfortunate circumstances, they have somebody that they can name as their agent to transact financial related matters. Yes, everybody needs a living will or healthcare surrogate, again, in the unfortunate set of circumstances where they're in poor health, they're designating a loved one or somebody that they respect to be able to make medical care decisions on their behalf.
Now, Prince,
right,
did not have a will.
Absolutely.
Why would someone nowadays, especially if someone has the money he had, why would someone not have a will and kind of tell people why it is important that you have a will?
Well, my practice deals with, in many respects, the tail end of an individual's life.
Right.
Okay, a conversation that is not the most pleasant of conversations.
Of course.
Okay, it's not. People would love
young people don't come to you for a will.
Well, they don't, but they should, especially if they have young children. In terms of being able to name a guardian, God forbid something was to happen.
They don't think anything's ever going to happen to them.
Well, that's part of the problem. Okay, is that people do not think it's going to happen to them, yet it happens all the time. I get the phone calls at the 11th hour. Just to give you an example. I got a call yesterday from a gentleman who saw my website. His wife was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer.
Oh, no.
Okay, a young woman in her 50s. What do I do, Paul?
Yeah.
Okay, I have this house that's titled in her name. What's going to happen if she dies? She doesn't have a will. Well, how are we going to distribute the assets? Well, if you don't have a will, the state of Florida has a will for you.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, that's right. They do.
Okay, it's called dying intestate.
Tell people what. A lot of people don't understand what could happen if you don't have a will.
Well,
what the state can do to you.
Well, the state has a will for you.
Yes.
The Florida statute outlines specifically how your assets will be distributed if you do not have a will. And that distribution of assets at the time of your death may or may not conform with your wishes. And
because it's their wishes.
Because it's their wishes. I mean, typically, if you have a wife and you have children, the assets ultimately do get distributed to them, but maybe not in the same percentage as you would like them to be. More importantly, okay, and we were chatting a little bit about this before. If you want a simple will, I'm not the guy for you. Go online, have a simple will, and distribute everything to your loved ones or your wife. to your loved ones or your wife. But there's more consideration. No matter what your net worth is, do you consider and have you incorporated into the thought process what that money will do? Have you considered into the thought process the proper way of distributing those funds? Have you thought in the process the unfortunate circumstances of a divorce? Have you thought within the process the implications of poor money management or drug or alcohol abuse or other special circumstances that might come into the fold? That's the key component to this process.
So what you really are is you are the one who knows everything, knows the questions to ask that you're never going to think about.
Without a doubt, Steve. And it's interesting you say that, because I think that's
it is.
I am very much a catalyst, and I've been called on more than one occasion a financial shrink. Okay. And although it's more legal related and it's more in terms of developing, a financial blueprint, for the distribution of assets, it's really geared towards developing a cohesive plan that makes sense to you.
Well, I got to tell you, this is going to be such a great show because, I told you we have Tina Lord that's been on the show, and she'll get people that were trying to save money and do it themselves, and it ended up costing them so much more. So it's very important what you're going to learn on this show, that first of all, you don't want to try to do it yourself. There's so many things. Look, you just gave 5 or 6 examples of questions that who would think about that?
Well, and I think the knee-jerk reaction that most people think about when they think about this type of process is money. I want to save money. I want to do it cheap. I'm
so glad you're bringing this up.
I can go online and I can go to LegalZoom or some other website, and I can get this document done for 1/10 the cost that Paul's going to charge me. God bless you. Yes, you can.
Right.
However, that I think that's truly being short-sighted, because it doesn't look at the full complement of all of the issues that an individual who does not have the background and the experience just doesn't know the right questions to ask.
They don't know the laws.
And they don't know the laws. And even if they do know the laws, they don't know how to structure the document to protect and preserve their loved ones. So that's
why it's so important. And this is one of the things I want to get out in the first part of our shows. Don't try to do this yourself. I mean, Paul just said, if you've got a simple will, and sometimes maybe you think it's simple and it really isn't. And, at least give Paul a call, because he's going to tell you some things I guarantee you never thought of.
Steve, that's true. I do often get a phone call, and the phone call proceeds as follows. Paul, I saw you, or I got your name, I saw you on your website, you seem like a nice guy. I want to do a simple will. How much is it going to cost? And 5 minutes into the conversation, it's quite evident to both me and to the person that I'm speaking with that it may not be as simple as they thought about.
Right.
Okay. That there may be some special issues, there may be some special circumstances, that flow of money in the hands of an 18-year-old may not be in the best idea.
And Paul, I think it's also that you think further down the line than they are. I mean, you might think you're going to be with your wife forever, and things happen. People get divorced. People remarry. Are you protected for the next 30 or 40 years? And I think the people who want that simple thing done are just thinking about today and tomorrow.
Well, that's true. And that's why the biggest component of my practice today is more asset protection, is protecting those assets from creditors, from predators, from lawsuits, from dissolution of marriage, to ensure that we create this fortress around the family unit that insulates and preserves the money for their loved ones. So it's not just simply, drafting a document. That's the easy part. It's really incorporating, the other pieces of the puzzle to make sure that you have that cohesive and extensive program.
We're getting ready to go to break, but I brought this up to Paul because my Renee, his daughter, is autistic, and not this show, but the next show, I really want to spend some time talking about guardianship, because there are so many kids out there who are autistic. I never realized that there are so many out there. It's like 1 out of every 70 kids are autistic that are born. And the parents, because we went through it, don't know what to do. And you're the man to come see. Because I'm going to tell you something. We were those people that we said, we're going to just do it ourselves. I'm telling you, if I knew what I knew now, Paul, never again. And we tell parents that. Get a lawyer who understands guardianship, because we're going to teach you. We're going to, and hopefully we can do it next month when Paul comes on. We're going to go to break, and when we come back, we have more with Paul Labiner, attorney Paul Labiner.
The law office of Paul S. Labiner has been providing quality and cost-effective legal advice to professionals, businesses, individuals, and families throughout South Florida, New York, and New Jersey for over 3 decades. Their mission is to provide personalized service which ensures that you, your family, your business, or your assets are safe and protected. Call attorney Paul S. Labiner today, 561-998-2362, and let him begin the creation of a financial blueprint in conformity with your needs, desires, and concerns. It took much effort and hard work for you to enjoy all that you have today, so it only makes sense that you implement strategies to protect and defend it. The law office of Paul S. Labiner, PA, is a reputable law office nestled in beautiful Boca Raton, Florida, that is dedicated to providing you with personalized legal services that meet the specific needs of your family. Attorney Paul S. Labiner designs estate plans that ensure the most effective transfer of wealth, implement policies to mitigate income and estate taxes, and draft wills and trusts to maximize your family's wealth. Call attorney Paul S. Labiner today at 561-998-2362.
Hey, we are back today with Ask the Experts. We're on every Thursday from 5 to 6. We've got so many shows, sometimes I forget. This is a new show today. This is attorney Paul S. Labiner. And give everybody your phone number.
Sure. I can be reached at 561-998-2362.
And you got a great website.
I do. I have a wonderful website.
Yes.
And my website is Boca Raton Estate Planning. So it's Boca Raton estateplanning.com.
Oh, that's easy to remember. So, I was looking over the notes today, and it's usually very easy where I'd like to start. Yours is very hard because I'm interested in every one of these topics, but we got the most emails about probate.
Okay.
So, and probate can become very expensive. And I got to tell you something. You can actually sit down with someone where they don't ever have to worry really about probate. It's the ones that didn't plan for it.
Well, that's true,
How
Steve.
close am I?
You're very close. So, I think that's a common buzzword is, especially, from a legal standpoint, is people want to avoid probate.
Yes.
Okay, because the perception is that it's timely, the perception is that it's costly, the perception is that we have the court system intervening in their affairs, and in many respects, those are accurate statements. And it's really quite easy to avoid probate.
I know.
Okay, it really is. And one of
you could make it easy for them.
To me, it's so easy because you have to understand how assets transfer. Not everything goes through probate.
Right.
Okay? I mean, for example, if you have an IRA does not go through probate. There's a beneficiary designation on that IRA that upon your death, your loved one, whether it's your spouse, your children, or so forth, will receive the proceeds from that IRA.
If it's set up, right?
Well, no, actually, the financial institution will set it up, automatically.
Okay, so that's easy.
So no probate.
Okay.
If you have a life insurance, you have a named beneficiary. You have a pension plan. You have a named beneficiary. You have an annuity contract. There's a named beneficiary. If you title assets between a husband and wife, they transfer automatically by operation of law without probate. If you have assets that are titled in a in a brokerage account or a financial institution with rights of survivorship or payable on death or transfer on death. There's a couple different terminologies that are used. I don't want to confuse the audience, but it's very easy to transfer many financial instruments without.
I'm waiting because I'm going through it. The attorneys up in New York, someone thought they should get part of the money too.
Well,
and it wasn't specified.
Well, that's part,
and it's in probate now.
Well, and exactly. So going through probate is nothing more than the legal process of proving somebody's will, or going through the legal process of proving somebody's wishes or intended wishes if they don't have a will. So if you don't have a will, you're going through probate.
Okay, so that's the first thing.
That's the first thing. You don't have a will, you're going through probate.
Okay.
More often than
not. So
not.
that's how you can avoid probate, is by having a will.
Well, actually, you need a revocable trust to avoid the will.
Okay, we're going to be talking about that too.
Okay, so because if you have a will, you're going through probate.
If you have a will,
it's going through probate.
So it's going to go whether you have one or not.
Okay, you need the revocable trust.
Okay.
To avoid the probate. But I do want to make one comment, and that is 99% of the time, I do want to avoid probate for my clients. However, there is one significant...
Because you're a good guy.
Well, it is because it's more efficient, it's less expensive, and it's private. I mean, privacy is another component to trying to avoid probate. But there's one thing about probate that I do like. If there's one positive attribute, and that is that you can negotiate with creditors much more efficiently when you go through the probate process.
Okay.
Okay. So if you have a lot of debt, going through probate may not be a bad thing, because I can tell you from my almost 40 years of experience that I am, I can more than offset any fees and so forth by just the simple negotiations that we have in terms of some of the creditors, whether it's the American Express or Visa or any other creditor for that matter, and it gives us a great deal of latitude to be able to negotiate favorably on behalf of the decedent or the person that passed away. So there are some minor benefits. If you're anticipating that there's going to be, some disparity or some argument in terms of the distribution of assets,
which is what we're going through.
Okay, why? Because we're all, as we discussed earlier, everything I do, Steve, evolves around one thing: money.
And protecting you.
Right. And money, as we know, has some very positive attributes. But money, unfortunately, especially at the time of death or the passing of a loved one, the dynamics of the family unit changes dramatically.
Oh, that's right. You see this all the time.
And unfortunately, I do see it all the time. I hear constantly, Steve, that's not going to happen to my family. My kids love each other.
Right.
Okay, Steve, I don't worry about that. Everything's going to be fine. Well, unfortunately, I'm sorry to say, if I can take those words and bring back my client from the grave and see the implications that have taken place with their loved ones, they would be astonished in terms of what actually took place. So there are many, many things that could be done in the development of a cohesive plan that eliminates those problems.
So I'm use it first. I like to bring up personal things that I can say on there. So my Renee's father just passed.
Okay.
As soon as he passed, all the credit cards and bank accounts were frozen.
That's correct.
I never knew that. The family didn't know that. What would you have done? I didn't know what would happen. You're like, yeah, it happens all the time. But it does cause problems, though.
Well, it does, because it's the decedent or the person who passed away's credit card.
Yes.
So we don't...
And bank accounts.
And bank accounts. And unfortunately...
But they still have bills to pay, though.
Well, they do. But I will tell you this, Steve, most of the creditors, at least from my experience, even though there may be bills, and I know people want to pay their bills in a timely fashion, most creditors, whether it's the mortgage or the credit card companies or anyone else, are understanding of the facts and circumstances.
So unless you've been in that position, you wouldn't know that.
Right. The biggest problem I have is really making sure that you have the money to pay for the funeral expenses,
Right.
because they want that money up front.
Exactly. Exactly.
The attorneys understand that perhaps their fee won't be paid until the estate settles. So they're not necessarily looking for upfront monies, but the burial requests are something that needs to be paid up front. But I don't know if the credit card companies is that big of an issue, but I think that's an important consideration.
Because you don't think about that at
Well,
all.
you don't think about that, but that's where the planning comes into play.
Exactly.
That's where a sinking fund is necessary to pay those bills, to make sure that they do have the necessary liquidity to be able to pay for some of those expenses, whatever they may be, in terms of until the affairs of the individual
this is
settle.
about not splitting up funds. This is just about
paying the bills. Yeah.
Exactly. Wow. Because they do call, even though you're gone.
Oh, no, they'll call.
They do call.
They do call, and that's okay that they call.
So
That's interesting. Let them keep calling.
yeah, right. But I think again, what's so great that you do is you are like a fortune teller. You know what's going to happen in the future. Most people don't, and they don't think that far out.
Well, they don't.
And they have you to do that for them.
Well, they do, and thankfully they have my expertise and my experience to be able to kind of walk them through these difficult times. It's not pleasant times. The problem is that most people don't like to think about their mortality. Most people don't like to to plan ahead. And I could just encourage the audience, and that there's no better time than now. Yes, there may be some need for some modifications and tweaking along the way, but a sound financial blueprint is key. And
How often do you that you sit back down with your clients to look over
I think it really depends. It depends if there's a major change in the tax act. I think if there's a major change in circumstances, whether a new child, whether it's
Things
divorce,
change with them.
Things change with them. I think those tend to be the catalyst in terms of when you need to review and modify, and you may perhaps update.
I got to tell you, Attorney Paul Labiner, I love having you on the show. Our listeners are going to learn so much. You will be back again with us next month. I told you it goes by fast.
Yes, you
Give
did.
everybody your phone number.
Again, have a pleasant holiday weekend, everybody. And my telephone number, again, is 561-998-2362.
And your website?
Boca Raton, estateplanning.com.
This went by I told you it's going to go by fast. And we will have some great topics next time when Paul's on. And I'll be back here next week we're going to be doing some Social Security disability next week. And everybody have a safe holiday weekend. We'll see you next Thursday.
Thanks for listening to the Ask the Expert Show, featuring interviews with local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Call our office at 888-574-6999 to become one of our experts on the show. And tune in again next week for more Ask the Experts with Steve-O. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and